There is something in my walls. There is something wrong with the walls of my apartment. I only noticed it yesterday. I was sitting in front of my laptop, watching something on Netflix, when movement caught my eye on the wall behind the screen. I blinked, pausing my show and squinting into the dark. Sure, I was going to have to kill a bug. Grabbing a crumpled, oily napkin from the clutter of my desk, I prepared to strike, only to pause, confused, when my eyes adjusted. There was nothing there. I shrugged it off as a trick of the light, letting the napkin fall back onto the desk. No bug after all. My peace lasted for about 5 minutes. Once again, I saw the movement at the edge of my vision. I rubbed my eyes and stood this time, using my phone as a flashlight to illuminate the wall. Nothing. I pressed my palm to the wall, wondering if some of the paint was flecking off and catching my eye. To my surprise, heat radiated out from the normally cool surface. I jerked my hand back in surprise, cursing softly. That couldn't be good. The wall behind my desk was shared with the apartment next door. Was my neighbor's place on fire or something? I leaned in closer to the wall, my ear less than an inch from its warmth, but I couldn't hear anything. I tried googling what a hot wall meant, just in case it was something terminal, but my search returned a multitude of possible explanations that ranged from poor insulation to faulty wiring. Mentally shrugging, I decided it was something that could be handled tomorrow, and resolved to let the landlord know in the morning. The next day, I sat back down at my laptop with a bowl of cereal, ready to watch some more Netflix. I haven't exactly been leaving my apartment much these days. To be honest, I spend a lot of time in front of my laptop. I'm only telling you this so you can understand. The days were blurring together and losing distinction as the weirdness of the previous night had faded into monotony for me. I had finished my cereal by the time I noticed anything was wrong. I was cleaning a spot for my empty bowl when I finally saw it. In the soft brightness of the morning, I could see a slight undulation in the surface of the wall, a momentary expansion and retraction that I would have missed it if I wasn't looking right at it. I blinked in shock. The movement wasn't on the wall. It was in the wall. The events of the night before came rushing back to me. Was there something trapped in there? Maybe a nest of mice or something, I thought, which may even explain the heat I felt. I let my hand settle against the warmth of the wall. The heat was uncomfortable, but not quite enough to burn. I didn't have long to think about the temperature though, because when I pressed my palm a little harder into the wall, it gave away. It didn't crumble inward or splinter from the force. Instead, it felt like raw meat beneath my fingers, damp and oozing and malleable. I yanked my hand away and wiped it frantically on my sweatshirt. The damp patches it left behind smelled so strongly of rot that I couldn't make it to the sink before throwing up violently. I ripped the sweatshirt over my head and threw it on the floor, covering my mouth with my arm to get away from the rancid smell. When I could finally catch my breath without feeling sick again, I looked back to the wall. Now, in the spot where my palm had been, the wall blotched out like an overripe trash bag, a swollen tumor pushing outward and dripping sizzling discharge onto my desk. Heart pounding in my throat, I grabbed my laptop and retreated to the opposite corner of the room. I stumbled into the front door and tried to pull it open, but the searing walls had fused with the wood of the door. With a shudder, I realized it could have been fused shut for days. I ran to my windows, trying them each in turn, but they were all stuck tightly, shut as well. I grabbed a nearby table and started to throw it at the window, hoping it would break the glass. But as I reared back, the windows sagged under the weight of the wall above, and then began to cloud and melt. In a matter of seconds, I could no longer see the sky. All around me, the walls of my apartment began to swell, like a corpse in water, the bloated with a slow, mindless determination, and I sank to the floor in despair. There were no ways out of my apartment. I was trapped. The walls didn't close in, exactly. They didn't shrink like a sliding puzzle, still a neat box with sharp corners. They oozed, bulbous and pushing outwards, sagging into my floor and spreading into every crevice of my apartment. The once rigid drywall was flimsy and porous like a sausage casing, sizzling with every new surface it came into contact with. If I looked at it too long, I could see shapes moving beneath the surface, pressing up against the membrane in a feeble attempt at freedom. That was yesterday. Now, I am huddled in the middle of my apartment, with barely any room left to move. The walls are boiling to the touch. I accidentally nudged one with my toe a couple hours ago. I can't really feel the pain anymore, but I can still smell the charred flesh. The crumbling ceiling sags, and this stands towards me and singes the tips of my flyaway hairs. My laptop is running low on battery now. I've tried to use it to call for help, but I don't think anyone or anything can reach to me now. It's much too late. The walls are reaching out for me, the shapes within them pressing more firmly against the delicate skin. I can only smell rot and smoke, and I dread the movement, the waver thin skin splits, and the decay in my walls claims me.